I have to say, so far this is by far the best episode that we have had of Star Wars The Acolyte. And in saying that, it's still kind of a dumpster fire. Let me explain, because I know a lot of people are probably going to get a little upset about this one, or maybe they won't. I don't really know which way the internet is kind of turning on this show. It seems like it's mostly negative, but there just is like a little corner of kind of toxic positivity coming from some Star Wars fans. Not judging people for enjoying this show. If you enjoy it, I am happy for you. I want to enjoy it. I wish I could enjoy it and feel what you're feeling, but unfortunately I do not. So good for you, and I am so happy for you. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm not going to say I'm wrong. I just wish I could feel what you're feeling. But this show sucks, man. And they just continue to kind of shit on some of the basic lore of Star Wars, and I'm going to go through it real fast. So I'm going to break down Episode 5. I'm going to spoil stuff along the way, so if you haven't seen Episode 5, go watch it. So Episode 5 picks up where Episode 4 left off with this weird new dark side user throwing away all the Jedi, and he starts a gigantic fight. And we legitimately see this big bad dark side user fighting all of these Jedi. And I'm going to be honest, the choreography in this fight and this lightsaber duel is amazing. It's easily the best Disney lightsaber duel we've ever gotten. It's better than the Obi-Wan versus Vader fight. It's better than anything in the sequels. It is the closest thing to kind of that Phantom Menace, you know, Revenge of the Sith lightsaber combat that we love, right? Is it as good? No, because those movies have this little thing behind the fight called emotions and story and investment from the audience and caring about the characters, but still, this looked great and it felt great. It's like the greatest fan film lightsaber fight I've ever seen in my life. And if I ignore everything else, if I turn my brain off to what's actually going on in this show story-wise, character-wise, and just watch the fight, great job. You guys created something that I will go back and rewatch. Because this bad guy, this dark side user, is a badass, and I imagine that this is kind of what it looks like watching somebody like Darth Vader fight a bunch of Jedi, kind of be this evil force that is unbeatable. These Jedis have no idea what to do with this guy. They are just so outmatched by power, by speed, and it is really, really cool. He kills a couple Jedi by stabbing one and pulling the other one with the Force into the lightsaber, stabbing them both. That shit's cool. We need more of that. This kind of version of this dark side user, at least the way he moves, the way he fights, just all of that should have been what Kylo Ren was in the sequels. Instead, we got a whiny little bitch who moved at the speed of a turtle. That's just annoying. But either way, he goes through, he fights all the characters. You have a really dumb moment where he kills a bunch of these Jedi Masters like it's easy, and then he fights Daphne and Keen's character, who's a Padawan, and she puts up, like, the best fight of any of these Jedi. So I guess she's the chosen one. Because she's a Padawan! She should be destroyed immediately, but she puts up a hell of a fight compared to the Jedi Masters who got absolutely crushed almost immediately into the fight. Thought that was kind of dumb. But still, some of the stuff with Daphne and Keen's character, her choreography fighting this bad guy is really good. You eventually see her die. I think the way they filmed her death was also really good. It's really dark. I'm praising this episode a lot. God damn it. Give me a second. But the guy kind of separates his lightsabers and does like a stabs her 3 times. That was cool. He kills one of the other main Jedi dudes. Everybody dies except for Squid Game Guy. And Squid Game Guy has a big fight with the Sith Lord, and I'm like, thank God. Hopefully he kills everybody, because that's the only way this makes sense, is if the Sith guy kills everybody. And that's the question, is he a Sith guy? Because I think the easiest out for this show would have been to say he's actually not a Sith, he's just a guy that uses the dark side, has a red lightsaber, but he's not a Sith. He's like a random kind of a separatist of the Jedi, which would have still been stupid, but at least he could buy into it. But no, this is a Sith. How do we know? Because we find out who the guy is. He had his mask knocked off, and who is this guy? Holy shit! Did not see this one coming. It's Walmart Ezra Miller. Remember the guy in the last episode and the episode before that was helping the main bad chick kill all the Jedi? Who would have thought that he's actually the main Sith Lord this whole time? Oh my god, my mind is blown. And he tells Mr. Squid Game Guy, after Mr. Squid Game Guy asks him, who are you? What's your name? He says, I have no name, but you Jedi, you call people like me the Sith. Which I guess they leave a little leeway in there to be like, well, he's not a Sith. He's just saying the Jedi kind of identify all dark side users as Sith, but that's not true. The Sith are another religious faction within the Force. They have beliefs. They have a set of goals. They have the rule of 2 at this point in the timeline. So yes, if he's a Sith, he has a name. My name is Darth Ezra Miller II. I am a Sith Lord. I am either the Lord or I am the apprentice to a bigger Lord. And we have goals. We have a long-standing plan to take over the galaxy, a long-standing plan that includes us being in hiding and not exposing ourselves. So if he truly is a Sith Lord, like he said, this is a really dumb thing that he's doing, just fighting the Jedi because he wants freedom, is what he tells him. I want freedom. The freedom to be powerful. Like, okay, that maybe makes sense, but the whole point of the Rule of Two is they were slowly taking over the galaxy from within because they knew they could not take the galaxy with just pure force. And if they were to expose themselves to the Jedi before they were ready to take over the galaxy, guess what would happen? They would be overwhelmed because there's only 2 Sith and about 1 billion Jedi. So why would you expose yourselves? Even when Maul exposes himself in The Phantom Menace, it's a very detailed plan from Palpatine. It wasn't just, Maul, go out there, try not to be revealed. No, it's very strategic. Go reveal yourselves to the Jedi. We are going to let them know that we are kind of back because guess what? I am the Chancellor and I am one of, if not the most powerful person in the galaxy without using my Sith powers because that's what we do. We're schemers. We're not just powerful baddies. We are schemers. These political schemers that are trying to scheme our way to the top of the galaxy. That's what the Sith are. The Sith who, by the way, before Darth Maul appeared, the Jedi thought had been extinct for a millennium. Why? Because the Sith had been destroyed and went into the Rule of Two, went into hiding to build up all the way to when Palpatine is there. This show was also only like 100 years before kind of what we're going into with The Phantom Menace. I think it's only about 80 years before The Phantom Menace. So you're telling me this guy is training the dude that ends up being the master of Plagueis? Like, I don't know, man. I don't buy this. It just doesn't really make sense, and I think the people making this show just don't really care. I don't think they care that it makes sense in the lore. They're just like, look, we got cool choreography and fight scenes in this episode. It's like, yes, there was really good filmmaking, really good fight scenes, really cool death scenes, but when you don't get right the little things in the lore that make Star Wars, that make the story of the original movies what they are, it melts my brain. It's not that difficult, guys. If they wanted to do a show like this, why didn't they just go back to the Old Republic or go right after the fall of the Sith, right at the beginning of the Rule for Two, and do a show about, like, Darth Bane? They could have done something similar to this story and just made it kind of bigger and better, and people wouldn't have been complaining. But instead, they choose a part of the timeline that they know would stir up drama within the fan base. They knew would spur up controversy. They choose a timeline where you can't, like, the one rule in this part of the timeline is you cannot have a Sith. Now, still, they might still have him just kill everybody. Every character in the show might be dead, problem solved, but at the same time, just the fact that he did what he did in this episode goes against the ideals of what the Sith were trying to do. It's just so dumb. And after we see him being a badass in this episode, killing everybody, he ends up losing the Squid Game guy, but then Squid Game guy's like, I'm honorable, I'm not going to kill you because killing you would be wrong. Asks Obi-Wan what it's like sparing a dude. He kind of spared Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, although he thought he was going to die there, but then he did spare him in the Obi-Wan show, and then Vader used the Death Star to blow up a planet. These people are morons, and when I say these people, I don't mean the Jedi, I mean the people writing for the Jedi are morons. So he lets him live, and the guy takes his lightsaber, you know, Walmart Ezra Miller, and he goes, I'm gonna kill you. And then the main character of the show comes, and she does something that Darth Ezra Miller would have never predicted. She attaches a light to his back and starts shining the light, and all of these mosquitoes come down, and they defeat the dark side guy. They pick him up and they fly him away, because this dude who just defeated like 10 Jedi and blew them all away with the Force in one push, and is the most badass dark side user I think we have ever seen on the big screen or the small screen, not named Darth Vader, he could not figure out how to remove a light from his back or force push mosquitoes away from him. This was like the moment that reminded me of the way they killed Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker. It's just taking the villain and saying, we've made him super, super powerful, so powerful that he should not be able to be beaten. So how do we have him lose? Goofy shit. That's how we have him lose. Goofy shit. Can we also talk about the dialogue in this episode and the acting? The dialogue written for the bad guy and for a lot of these characters is the most basic, ground level, this is edgy type bullshit I have ever heard. It is so simplistic, so rooted in just generic nonsense that it's so hard to listen to, where I don't want to blame the actors for being bad because what they're given here is not good. And still, the core story between these two twins just doesn't really work. Their motivations for why their witch mothers and their witch society got destroyed. Like, I'm sure there's gonna be some revelation that the Jedi were behind the witches being destroyed. Oh no, oh, what a big surprise. But like, who cares? It's just so frustrating to see. And listen, credit where credit's due, this is by far the best episode of the show just because the actual fight scene was cool. It made me feel something. I said, whoa! That's cool lightsaber stuff. And I'm still a kid at heart, so I see cool lightsaber stuff, I go, whoa, lightsabers! I like lightsabers, they're cool, and when you fight with them, they're even cooler. That's just how I am. But I just wish there was more story behind this, because there's the story here and the ideas of the Sith being in this part of the universe and this part of the timeline and interacting with these characters the way they are is just so mind-bendingly dumb and is a clear example of writers that have no idea what the Sith or the Jedi even are. They just say, we need bad guys. They call the bad guys the Sith in the old movies. Remember that? Remember when they called them the Sith in the prequels? So our guy must be a Sith. They have no idea what the hell they're writing here. And that is just a shame. And one episode full of good choreography does not make up for 3 of the worst episodes of television I have ever seen this entire year. It doesn't, okay? And I'm sure the finale... the finale's not going to do much to save this show, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe the finale will fix everything. It'll ease my worries. It'll explain why this guy's not actually a Sith, but he's pretending to be a Sith or something. And what he actually is Barry Allen, flying in from his terrible movie, because The Flash was horrible. I would love to know if Ezra Miller was actually supposed to be cast in this show. I don't know. This guy that's playing this character, I mean, I'm making the joke a billion times, but he literally is Ezra Miller. I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode down below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, turn on notifications. See you in the next one.